Hey everyone, and welcome to Dragon Mind Studio. We all know the name Bond, James Bond. But what about the man before he became a myth? Well, the brand new trailer for 007 First Light looks like it's going to answer that question. So today, what we're going to do is deconstruct this thing piece by piece to really understand the story they're telling about a younger, much rawer Bond at the very start of his career.
Okay, so this one line right here, this is everything. It's the whole key to the story the trailer is telling. It just paints this incredible picture of a guy who is packed with terrifying potential. He's a weapon, for sure. But, a weapon that isn't aimed at anything? That's just a danger to everyone. And that, right there, is the problem MI6 is trying to solve.
All right, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll dive into his origin story and the real man behind the legend. Then, we'll get into why he's seen as this bullet without a target. After that, we'll watch his very first assignment begin to unfold. And finally, we'll pull it all together to figure out what really sets this Bond apart from the ones we know.
So yeah, the trailer gets right to the point with the biggest question of all. Who was this guy before he got the famous 3-digit number? Let's just forget the suave spy in the tuxedo for a second. This story is all about the raw materials, the unpolished, unpredictable man who will one day become the weapon we all recognize.
And this is absolutely crucial. This isn't just another adventure. Everything we see, from the quick flashback cuts to the dialogue, is screaming that this is a true beginning. We're about to witness the birth of a legend, that exact moment when the man, James Bond, begins the pretty brutal transformation into the agent 007.
So, if he's a weapon, how exactly was he forged? The trailer makes it really clear that long before MI6 ever got their hands on him, Bond's entire personality was shaped by two huge forces: a deep, personal tragedy and a spirit that just refuses to follow the rules.
You can trace a really clear and honestly tragic line through his early life. It all starts when he's just 11, with the unbelievable trauma of seeing his parents die to save him. And that one moment just seems to light a fire under him. He goes on to excel everywhere. Top of his class, a natural in the Navy, he's brilliant. But there's always this tension, this constant conflict with authority.
And when you look at it all together, you see this fascinating pattern emerge. He's defined by this incredible self-reliance. He found his own way off a mountain as a kid. But that same fierce independence means he's a walking headache for his bosses. They love his instincts, but they're driven to early retirement just trying to keep him in line. He's basically a puzzle that nobody can solve.
So what do you do with an unsolvable puzzle? Well, this is where we see two totally different viewpoints pop up. Is this guy a reckless, dangerous liability, or is he a completely unique, one-of-a-kind asset?
And it all comes to a boiling point over something that happened in Iceland. This one mission becomes Exhibit A in the case for or against James Bond. It's the thing that's either going to get him kicked out for good or prove he's the only man for the 00 program.
It's honestly amazing how two people can look at the same event and see polar opposites. You've got this guy, Greenway, who sees a disaster. Insubordinate, reckless, survived by pure dumb luck. But then M looks at that exact same file, and she sees something totally different. To her, insubordination is instinct. Blind luck becomes the simple, undeniable fact that he survives. She argues these so-called flaws are the very reasons the 00 program even exists.
And then M delivers this killer line. It's the checkmate moment. With just a few words, she completely flips the entire argument on its head. She takes every single one of Greenway's criticisms and says, "Yep, that's my guy. That's exactly what I'm looking for. His flaws are his qualifications."
And just like that, the debate's over. The bullet has been claimed. Now, it's time to give him a target. So we shift from looking at his past to witnessing his very first assignment as a 00 agent.
And they are not starting him off slow. The stakes are sky high right from the get-go. This is no training run. M is throwing him straight into the deep end, into a situation she calls one of utmost delicacy. She needs, as she says, all my pieces on the board.
So, what's the intel? Well, get this. The target is another 00 agent, 009, and she's described as a master manipulator. Then there's the ominous warning. Whatever she's planning, we won't see it coming. And M gives Bond one crystal clear rule: don't get close. She's an asset, not your friend.
So what's Bond's response to his very first direct order from M on his very first mission? Total defiance. To hell with that. That just tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Right out of the gate, he's making it clear that when push comes to shove, he's going to trust his own gut over the rulebook.
All right, so let's put all these pieces on the table. When we connect all these dots, what kind of picture does it paint? Well, the trailer gives us a really clear profile of this new agent in the making.
So, what we're seeing is an agent who wasn't built in a training facility. He was forged by trauma, which gives him a kind of resilience you just can't teach. That rebellious streak that drove his Navy superiors crazy? That's now his #1 asset. He's not being hired for his ability to follow orders, but for that raw animal instinct. He's not a scalpel, he's a hammer. A blunt instrument that's being aimed for the very first time.
And that brings us to the final, lingering question. The story's called First Light. It's his dawn as a 00 agent. But you know, in the world of spies, stepping into the light has a funny way of revealing even deeper shadows. So you have to ask yourself, when you shine a light this bright on a man like this, what kind of darkness is it going to expose? Not just in the world, but inside him too. That's the real question, isn't it?